D&D Players, what is the craziest plot twist you've witnessed in a campaign? Part 1. We were sent by an elven king to defeat a green dragon that had taken over most of this massive forest the elves lived in. We walked into the dragon's lair, did some goofy performance checks to announce ourselves since our druid said we shouldn't be rude, this is his home we're entering. The dragon approached us and the DM said, "He's very upset you snuck into his lair." Our dragonkin mage with super jacked persuasion pointed out, "We didn't break in. We announced ourselves as befitting someone of your age and power." It flattered the dragon, and they basically started having brunch while negotiating some kind of peace talk. A masked man walks in and demands us all to stop what we're doing. Before he could do anything else, our rogue, who had been hiding by the only door, tackled him to the ground and restrained him before gagging him. Our mage checked out the mask and learned it was a magical device that could impart the user's will onto a nearby dragon. The green dragon in the room was very upset upon learning this and very thankful to us. Without our untimely arrival, he would have been under the control of this stranger. As thanks, he let us each choose one item from his hoard as we finished our peace talks. We left the stranger with the dragon to deal with and headed back to the Elf King. We strolled up and told him, "We talked it over with the dragon and he's willing to give you back half of the forest. But he wants the other half and was very unwilling to budge on that. But you got half the forest, so it's pretty good, right?" "You negotiated with it? I sent my finest warrior to assist you in slaying the beast. It was what I had brought you here for." At that moment, a broken, bleeding corpse fell from the sky, with a rush of dragon's wings behind it. The body was that of the masked guy who'd busted in during our peace talks. The king fell to his knees and screamed, "My son! What have they done to you?" Turns out, he was the elf prince and was planning to use that mask to help us defeat the dragon and save the forest. There was a collective wide-eyed look around the table before we all burst out laughing as the DM said, "It was so hard to keep a straight face watching you guys gag and then sentence the warrior prince hero character to death because you were busy having tea with a dragon and thought he was the unreasonable one." The party entered the inn to look for work on a fishing boat. Everyone in there is moody due to the recent increase in bandit activity. Bard wants to lighten up the mood. She starts singing a classic song about sheep fucking back home over the hills. DM, while face-palming, makes her roll performance. Gets an @20. We became local celebrities and hosted a concert in the town square where we sang all sorts of lewd songs together. We then got kidnapped because of our fame and have been in slavery for about 4 months now. The same bard also punched a goblin NPC in the face, and they are now super tight best friendsy-wensies forever and have little sleepovers. I really want our bard's dice set. Year-long campaign against a necromancer who had raised an army of zombies. He started off by picking off farms or traveling merchants, then raising his victims to build his army. Eventually, small villages began to fall, and no one could ever figure out where he was going to strike next. Blah, blah, blah. We eventually find out where his headquarters is, we storm it, and meet no resistance. The undead make no move to attack. We start striking them down, but instantly they all collapse, becoming regular corpses once again. Okay. His tower is completely unguarded, and at the top we find him sitting at a desk, arms folded. And he says, "If you wish to kill me, I will not stop you. But I ask only that you either listen to what I have to say, or take the time to read my journal after I am dead." We do both. Listen to him and read his stuff. Go over all of his evidence, and it all checks out. Turns out he had discovered that the world was being observed by extraplanar entities that were under orders to enforce the natural balance of things. Think Mass Effect Reapers, but about 15 years before Mass Effect was a thing. He realized that the population of the world was very nearly at the point where they would emerge and intervene. He tried to explain the situation to various kings and emperors, but none were willing to knowingly sacrifice half of their population. And he realized that he had to take action or everyone was dead. So he had a choice. Stop him and hope that he was wrong about the whole mass extinction from outer space thing, or let him continue until the population was sufficiently reduced. We ended up joining him as a kind of special ops unit. It was the first time I had some true perspective on how a lawful evil character can actually be a good guy in their own mind. Edit. Actually, I should mention we threw the DM for a loop with that decision. He fully expected us to kill him and commit to stopping the extraplanar entities directly, lol. So I guess the DM threw us a plot twist, and we spiked it right back in his face. When the party, tired of adventuring, fighting, healing, get to talking with the inn owner, turns out the inn owner was thinking of retiring, so they buy the inn. The cleric opens a dispensary, the rogue sets up a bank, and wizard installs magical home security alarms as a side hustle. I caused the plot twist. We had been playing this campaign for a few weeks, and were very close to finishing. We went into a town and into a specific building with a room full of people. A couple of the people in the room had information that was absolutely necessary to continue on. I had the highest diplomacy, so I started trying to get the information we needed. Dice kept coming up short, and I was getting nothing. We were at a standstill. I got frustrated, looked at my character sheet, and realized I had Alchemist's Fire. I decided to throw it into the room, hoping to injure a couple of people and intimidate my way into getting the information. I rolled a nat 20. Everyone in the room died. Campaign over. I had a character that was born of pure chaos from the goddess of chaos in that world and could shapeshift into a giant snake. Homebrew class I went over with my GM. My main goal was to kill all chaotic creatures to spite my mother, who I felt had cursed and abandoned me to live on Earth. Pretty soon in, we get a quest to clear a fort overtaken by goblins and orcs, and my character, being just the meanest person, decides to convince all the survivors of our hostile takeover to walk to the town, say I'm sorry, and then kill themselves with their swords in the name of my holy charisma skill and cult leader tactics. We took over the castle and as a party set up a republic-style government, worked to grow its workforce, increase security, build a military, and do all the other things needed to make a self-sufficient town. By the end of the campaign, we had spread our small fort into its own small country that was free from the rule of any king. All in all, would play Civ 5 in D&D again. I was the plot twist. My party was being wiped out by a mob of angry winery workers, and more enemy backup just kept rolling in. Eventually, everyone was unconscious, but I had hidden behind a massive fire because the DM had narrated that my character was feeling a little off, and I didn't want to pass out or something in the middle of a battle. Turns out I was suffering from the final stages of lycanthropy, and managed to turn as everyone was unconscious, so in a literal blaze of glory, I jumped through the fire in a fit of bloodthirsty rage and proceeded to maul and maim everyone. Fortunately, werewolves only target the conscious, so my party was safe due to them getting their asses whooped. But I did clear a large number of the enemy people and creatures away. The rest just ran. Plot. There are 4 elemental altars. They keep the world in balance. Then everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked. Your job is to restore peace and balance. My party, notorious murder hobos. Let's be friends with the Earth Tribe since they're the first ones we met. Then we'll threaten all of the other tribes into submission. When they refuse, we'll kill them all to the last man and desecrate their stupid altars. Dead tribes are peaceful tribes, technically speaking. Mission accomplished. The real plot. The altars are secretly soul siphons that harness death and chaos to feed the slumbering dark god Tharisden. As the characters run around murdering people and cracking altars, Tharisden threatens to awaken and consume the multiverse. And it's all your fault. This was my take on the Temple of Elemental Evil in 3.5 edition. We kept fighting this vampire over and over again because we couldn't find his coffin and he kept tracking us down to harass us. Then we get this idea to use iron bellows and suck up his vampire dust soul stuff, the part that returns to the coffin to respawn, and stick him in a magical bottle. The idea being that we could find his coffin first and then let him go and kill him in his coffin. Several in-game months later, we finally find this coffin and go to release the guy, but when we open the bottle, only dust pours out. As it turns out, if you prevent a vampire from returning to its coffin for long enough, 3 weeks if I recall correctly, it dies. We had ended the campaign halfway through and didn't even realize it until that moment. The DM said that he would have told us the truth at any time if we had checked the bottle for signs of life, but we never did. I seduced the evil tyrant we were hired to kill, and in less than an hour married him, snuck my peeps into the palace, got him to strip naked, and then killed him. I then had a kingdom to run, and the DM had no more storyline planned for the evening. I was a bard. In another campaign, we saved an NPC with uber plot information that we weren't supposed to have access to and who was supposed to tragically get killed by the big bad in front of us. My group held him off while I annoyed him into poofing away with Unseen Servant, having it chuck books at his face and forcing him to fail all of his concentration checks. He eventually ran out of death spells and left in a very annoyed puff of smoke. And then we had access to the living encyclopedia, who basically became our mascot. I was playing a bard. Oh, and let's not forget the time I enthralled an entire castle of monsters long enough to just walk up, grab the loot we wanted, and poof out of there. Also a bard. Hello, you sweet little cutie idiot, and thank you for watching our humble video to the very end. If you are looking for a group, check out our Discord server. If you had a significant plot twist, feel free to share it in the comments below. If you have another story you'd like to share with the crew, feel free to do so in our official subreddit, r/MrRipper. I hope that this week you drink enough freaking water, you magnificent desiccated sack of organs, you. If you want more of this perfectly sane human, feel free to hit me up on TikTok at Dave Makes Noises. Please sub for Nat20s. Ding that dong if you are of a punctual sort. We love you here at Rip Daddy's house. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.